All right, so welcome to another rapid fire business story of the week. This is part of our rapid fire series, and today we have an incredible guest with us, someone who's achieved extraordinary success and is here to share their unique business journey with you. We're excited to hear their insights, so let's welcome them to the show. All right, so as this is our rapid fire series, we've got 1 minute or less to answer each question. So, in a minute or less, give us the elevator pitch to your story and your life. Go.
My name is Josh Wilkerson. I'm one of the founding members of an organization called Restoring Mathematics. We work with classroom teachers and schools who really want to restore faith in the mathematics process and teaching. We work to equip them to be excellent storytellers of mathematics, to bring a lot of those elements into their classroom in order to engage students and really cultivate problem solvers and cultivate the mathematical affections of students.
So that's fascinating, and I would love to dig a little bit deeper. So tell us a bit more about what you're working on today that you're most passionate about and believe will have the biggest impact.
What we're working on right now is we're hosting an event in Austin called the Restoring Mathematics Roundtable. It'll be at the end of June. You can get more information at restoringmathematics.com. But it's an event for educators from around the country to come and talk about this idea of how we're teaching mathematics. And we're calling it a roundtable because it's not a lot of so-called experts standing up and talking to you. It's a lot of people facilitating conversations so that we can really build a community around this concept of how we teach mathematics well, especially in a classical school movement, which is what we tend to focus on.
So this next question is one that every entrepreneur has dealt with. Tell us about a time where you failed. We often say failure is the first step to success. So think about a time where you failed in the past. What happened? What did you learn from it?
I think for an educational consulting group, like we are at Restoring Mathematics, I think the first thing that you tend to have when you're engaging with teachers and with schools is usually centered on the content of curriculum, like what books should they order, what content should they be teaching through. Whenever we would give these kind of lofty ideas of how to really pour into teachers and build teachers as great storytellers of mathematics, right? It's, well, what books can they use to do that? And I think ultimately what we've learned over time in this process is it's really the teacher as the living curriculum that's going to be much more impactful to a student's experience of a classroom than is going to be sitting down and writing what the perfect curriculum is going to be or adopting the perfect curriculum, right? A good storyteller can take any story and make it engaging. So it is less about the written curriculum and it's more about the living curriculum of the teachers of a given school, not even just the math teachers. Like everyone's teaching mathematics, every teacher in a building, every parent, any comments that are made in terms of like, I'm just not a math person as a common saying. In that moment, like you're teaching children something about mathematics. And we really want to kind of move away from, what's the script we follow to cultivating, an adult's appreciation for mathematics they can bring to the classroom.
That's fascinating. That's fascinating. And we're definitely going to have you back on the show to dive deeper into each of these questions. But for now, one thing that I often say is, and I tell this to my employees and the people who work with me and for me all the time, is that when a tree falls in the forest, if nobody hears it, did that tree actually fall? This brings me to this next question. How do you make sure that all of these amazing projects that you're involved in get noticed? What marketing and advertising methods have worked best for you? You've got a minute. Let's go.
Honestly, it's building relationships. I think by kind of over the years of being involved in education, working at schools, going to educational conferences, like just through that interaction with the community, people get to know you, They come to appreciate what your perspective is. They build trust in terms of believing the message that you're sharing. And it is those experiences that you bring to the table of, having been down in the trenches in the classroom. And it's not just this lofty ideal, but it's something that we're trying day in and day out with our own students. Failing, succeeding again. Like just every day is a new story and a new adventure. And those relationships that we can build with other communities around us, that far exceeds any, email marketing messages that we can send. I mean, we have our website to kind of help steer people toward us, but it's much less about pushing a marketing agenda out to convince people that they need our services, and it's more about just getting to know them. And how we can kind of just share our experience to help them in their school.
That was so awesome. We're definitely going to dive deeper into this on a later show. And as we approach our last question, before we ask people how people can get a hold of you, how people can reach you, learn more about the work that you're doing in your company, and we will include all that information in the show notes. What I wanted to ask you is, what is one piece of advice that you would offer to your younger self, to our audience, and to somebody, especially somebody who's just starting out in the same niche that you're in, but just doesn't know how to start or get going?
I think if I was offering some advice to my younger self, specifically kind of in this area of trying to start a business and trying to do something outside the walls of a classroom, it very much relates to my last answer in terms of being able to build and cultivate relationships, right? You can sit down and think you know everything. You can try to write the textbook, try to write the curriculum, try to do things to kind of elevate your name and get it out there. But really, it's the day-to-day practice of doing your job well, and then crafting kind of presentations and conversations to others around your own experiences that's really going to help kind of put you on the right path and move you, quote unquote, ahead kind of in this educational consulting space, right, is building that trust.
Amazing stuff. We're going to have to thank our guest today for being a guest on Business Story of the Week. And before we cut out on this episode, I wanted to ask you, how can people get a hold of you? How can people learn more about what you're doing? And how do people engage with you? And we will transcribe this and put it in the show notes for everybody to find.
And the number one thing is to go to the website. So it's restoringmathematics.com. And once you get there, you can find all the information you need about how to contact either myself or other members of our team, sign up for our email list, learn about events that we're hosting and schools that we're working with. So the website really is kind of a one-stop shop to get in touch with us.
All right, amazing. So you did it. Thank you for being a guest on the show today. Let me tell you what you can expect next. So what we're going to do is we're going to take all this, we're going to cut it into an episode. It will go on the Business Story of the Week page. So make sure you go on Apple Podcasts, review us, like us, go on YouTube, subscribe to the channel, subscribe to us on Spotify, and this will come out in the next 30 days or so, depending on our workload and how many shows we have. We have had a lot of interest in the show lately, so we may be a little backed up, but the show will get out. In the meanwhile, we will send you clips that feel free to share on social. Also, the full episode, feel free to share any way that you like. The content is yours to share and put out there. We just ask that you mark us and tag us in the notes if you do. So in the copy, put hashtag Business Story of the Week, link back to us. We would appreciate that. And if you think that you might be interested in doing more podcasts, live ones and studio ones, Zoom ones, Riverside ones, there's a whole host of shows that likely, if you did this one and succeeded, you would probably be really great at, and a great way of getting your message out. So your host will talk to you about potentially getting you booked on a strategy call for a Business Story of the Week's sister company, Podcast Cola, or becoming a YouTube influencer through Viral Mirage. Thanks again for being a part of this. Looking forward to working with you.